Hey, what are you doing mining all of my stone?
I just I thought you wouldn't mind. Just need a few for my house.
Just to, where's your house at?
Oh, it's way back over there. Where's yours?
Uh, yeah,
Oh, that's convenient. Yeah, that makes sense.
cool. So I'm reading designs. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. What are you doing here today in Minecraft? I thought this was my world.
I just kind of stop by every once in a while and just make things. Want to see something I'm
Oh,
making?
yeah, absolutely. This is a sick house, man.
Yeah. Well, it's more of a lab, but yeah,
Oh, a lab. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Just wipe your feet on the carpet. So
You
I've
need
got
some
my.
furniture in your lab, by the way.
Well, yeah, I'll get around to that. It kind of moves around as the furniture doesn't exactly like to follow us.
Okay. Oh. I mean, this is really nice, man. You got like one of every dye color here for your dice. But
Yeah, been trying to go around and collecting them. I mean, they're really nice. So what do you do?
I make real dice, ones that you can roll and stuff. These are nice, but you can't roll them.
What do you
So
mean you can't roll them? Hold on. See, it's
that didn't
rolling.
that didn't roll at all. If anything, that's weighted and it's floating.
Nah, no. Let's look here. Look, I'll show you how to make them. Hold on. All right.
You're
So
gonna show me how to make dice?
yeah, come on. Look. So I need you to put on your protective equipment. I've got an extra set for you.
Oh, okay. Well, nice color, by the way.
Uh, you know, it brings out the evil in my eyes. Um,
Okay, I'm PPE'd up.
Okay, so basically with this, we've got some resins here. We've got our part A and our part B.
Oh, interesting.
And so you go ahead and take
It's
a little bit of part A and a part B. And now this is a one-to-one mixture.
okay.
And I've got some extra dyes here, so you can go ahead and grab whatever color dye you want.
Oh, well, I gotta go as close to gold as possible, so let's try that.
Okay, I'll take the blue orchid. So we'll go into here, and this is our mixing stand. Go ahead and crush up that dye a little bit for you, and you want to. It's weighted 4 to 4, but it's 1 to 1 by weight.
Oh, look, I've got me some yellow resin.
Yeah, resin. So, and then I've got my pressure pot over here. So we'll go ahead and place your die or your dice inside of the pressure pot, and I'll go ahead and set this to 3 bar.
Oh, just
Yeah,
just like a real pressure pot.
yeah, yeah. It's blocks per square inch. Uh,
Yes, it is.
yeah. And we'll go ahead and pressurize the container. Now, I warn you, this is a little bit loud. But once it finished pressurizing, it's actually a lot quicker than normal. This resin's like a 30-second set time.
Oh, the dream.
Yeah. So it sounds like
Oh,
that. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and release the pressure for it real quick. Hold on. Stand back because sometimes it.
it's got a loud hiss.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
And now we can go down here. And go into our pressure pot. And look, we've got dice.
Whoa. No way. We actually have dice now.
Yeah.
And I stole your blue dice. And now I have gold dice.
Yeah. See, dice. The dice work. And look, they roll.
Well, okay, they float, but do you want to try making real dice with Minecraft dice?
I mean, could we do that?
Oh yeah. Oh, we can do that.
All right, so let's get started. So, get a little bit of intro or backstory to that video. This was actually supposed to come out like a month ago, I believe, somewhere around that, a few weeks ago at the very least. But it turns out a couple of the flowers that I was trying to find are out of season. So, well, one flower is out of season. The other one, I just am under the impression that it doesn't exist because I can't find poppies anywhere. But orange tulips are apparently out of season. So this was actually supposed to, on my half, supposed to include 3 extra flowers. The orange tulips, everywhere I've gone, just they don't exist. They're just out of season. I can't find anyone that carries red poppies, so we can't do those. And blue orchids I was actually supposed to do as well, but upon doing research on blue orchids are not a real flower. Orchids are real, but the way that you make blue orchids is by feeding them blue dye. And at that point, are we testing if we can make blue dye using blue dye? Seems a bit weird, but okay. Regardless, they're not a real flower, so I'm not testing them. But what we do have today are the other ones that I was going to test, and one of them is going to be, and let me round with you. So we have rose red, lapis lazuli, cocoa beans, and Rybonator is going to handle the Minecraft equivalent of black, being squid ink. But there's another material in Minecraft that is readily available that in the more recent years has been more popularized as a black dye, and that is charcoal. So I figured he can do squid ink, and I'll just test charcoal because it's a material that's in Minecraft that's not being used as dye, but it very easily could be. And then we're going to test rose red, being roses being the original kind of red dye, and as well roses are still in the game, but I believe if you try to get color from them, they give you poppies, which is weird. But regardless, they were the original red dye, so we'll go ahead and test those. Now, my original idea with this video was going to be to do kind of background history on each of these pigments and see where they were used historically. So I'll get into a little bit of that with charcoal and lapis lazuli and maybe cocoa bean. At the time of filming this, I've not actually done the research on cocoa yet, but I know lapis and charcoal are used as dyes. Specifically, lapis lazuli, more commonly referred to as ultramarine blue, it is the blue pigment. But I have some industrial grade, or some actually manufactured ultramarine blue. And my camera works awful. Also, if you're curious, yes, it did genuinely upset me to cut the head of a rose off, but 'tis for science. So, our plan here today, I went out and purchased a rock crusher, and that's going to be used for at least 3 of these, the cocoa bean, the lapis, and the charcoal, and then I have a mort and pestle for the rose. Now, I did buy 2 rose heads, so I think I'm also going to do a second video where I just put rose petals into dice and just see how that looks. So look out for that video if that's something that would interest you. But for the time being, let's go ahead and head outside and get these taken care of. Now, for the charcoal, I actually have just a burn barrel outside that I just grabbed some stray pieces of wood out, or stray pieces of charcoal wood out of. But I will leave a link to a video from Cody's lab where he does a bit more in depth on how to make anything really into charcoal. I'll probably link to the one where he turns bees into charcoal, because that's funny. But yeah, if you do go over there, tell him I sent you. But let's get on with this. So we're going to start... Alright, so we're going to start with the rose, mainly because the rose is an organic material and it will start to wilt. So I want to do that one as fast as possible. So let's go ahead and start with that. So we're going to go and toss it into a mort and pestle. And I'm actually going to, once I get it ground down, we're going to split it into 2 different halves. Because what I've done, or what I've looked at in my research on this, is that when people generally use flowers to make dye, they mix it with sodium bicarbonate or baking soda. It acts as a base and it helps more easily carry the dye. But the first thing I want to test with the roses is how well they stain, because that will be a big factor on whether or not the sodium bicarbonate will work. Because if the flower doesn't stain, then it won't leach into the sodium or the baking soda. So I'm going to go reset this back up into my second laboratory, or more commonly referred to as the bathroom. It's where I have my mort and pestle set up. So I will meet you back over there. Alrighty, so we have our massive mort and pestle, only the best for alchemy, and then a more refined tiny one. So we'll go ahead and start with the larger one. Well, the first thing Just I want to see if these flowers stain. So, a bit of bog roll. Let's see. They stain, but they stain purple. Interesting, interesting. Okay. I wonder what that's going to do. But yeah, you see that they do stain, but they stain purple. Take a few more of these. I'm going to try to crush these up as finely as I can. Okay. So next we're going to be adding some baking soda to the mix. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball that. I've got backup flowers if need be. Oh, Jesus, that makes up. But yeah, apparently the red in rose petals goes very purple. So that's interesting. All right, so I'm gonna soak this down. Because I just want to get everything off the walls. And I'm going to strain this through a coffee filter, get the powder, and put it in a container. So, on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is going to be cocoa bean and lapis. We need to crush these down into a powder. And to do that, I've got this lovely little rock smasher. So, doing this outside because, yeah. Now, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to hear me down here. But basically, all I'm doing just gonna fill this up with a little bit of lapis. Since then, I have gone and crushed down the coca and charcoal, and those were nothing more than just throwing in the mortar and pestle, just like the rose, crushing them down to a powder, and then I've got them in little containers. The next one is going to be with the lapis. Now, traditionally, to get lapis dye, or ultramarine pigment, you need some pretty serious machinery that I don't have access to. So with that, I've got this pulverized down into kind of a sand. Basically with this, what we want to do is, you see that there's kind of gray bits. We want to kind of take and crush as much as we can. I'm not going to do this on camera just because I don't have an extra hand. Take and crush this as much as we can, then wash it with water to get rid of as much of the gray powder as we can. I've tried with this soaking it in vinegar overnight, just because I wanted to try to dissolve the calcite, I believe that is, the gray rock, the gray vein that's inside of the lapis. I think it's calcite, which I've heard dissolves in a high concentration of acid. So I tried with vinegar, and that didn't really yield too many great results, other than making the bathroom smell like death. So don't know that I could necessarily recommend that. But with this, if anyone has any information on what breaks down calcite very well, that doesn't negatively interact with lapis, be interested to know, because if I can get rid of the gray rock, I can much more easily deal with the lapis. But nonetheless, we've got this down to about the pigment consistency that I am going to be able to get with a standard mortar and pestle. Now, there are machines, they're like ball milling machines, that you basically throw the pigment in, throw in some porcelain medium, I believe, and let it sit like overnight, and it just churns overnight. I don't have that machine because it's like $1,000, and I don't plan on making lapis industrially at that level and selling it, and that would be the only way I would justify that purchase. But just for this little experiment, Mortar Pestle and the pigment we can get out of this be perfectly fine. As well, I actually have some industrial grade ultramarine. So I'll show you what this end pigment should look like. And you see it's not too far off. If I were able to get rid of the gray, we probably have pretty spot on. But again, I either need chemical intervention of being able to dissolve that out, or a much more strong machine that I don't have access to. But I'm going to keep grinding this away, and then I'll go chuck all these three into resin and pigment and see how they come out. The charcoal came out beautifully. Nice little powder. The coca, that is as fine as I'm able to get coca with the Mortar Pestle. I don't know if that's going to be fine enough. I don't know if I can dissolve that anymore, chop that up, or get any better than that. Also, real quick, the washed out pigment that I'm getting from the Lapis is actually making this very interesting, like, baby blue. Like, it's much more baby blue than the camera's able to pick up, or kind of like a close to a blue gray that I also want to kind of chuck in to a dye and see if that comes out. And this is just the what I've washed out of the Lapis. So this is mostly, I believe, the calcite and a little bit of Lapis pigment. It's giving it this nice little gray color. But I'm going to see if I can get any more than this. I think this is probably going to be about as good as I can get. But then we'll go ahead and chuck these in to some resin, get them in a couple of dice, and then cure, and I will come back after we've got all those cured. So before we continue this video, a little bit of backstory. This video, I think I've said it a couple times, it's been delayed quite a bit. Doesn't really... Oh, camera did a weird thing. Weird. Recording on my phone, it did a weird thing. Actually, a new phone, so yeah. This video's been getting delayed by a lot, by a couple of different situations. I think it's been about a month and a half since I recorded the last part that you just saw. And I don't quite remember where that is, though I know that I have some dice that need to be polished. So I'm going to assume that that's where we are, that those just need to get polished and painted, and then we'll be done with this video. Just doing this little segment just to let you know what's kind of been going on. Like, me and Rybonator were doing this collaboration, and then we both kind of got held up. I think he's had his own things and other projects he's been working on. For me, just a combination of in the end of July, when everyone was getting evicted, our lease actually happened to run out at the same time. It wasn't eviction related, but the house we were living in at the time, the foundation was falling out from under it. So the landlord found out about that and decided they no longer wanted to rent that because they didn't want that to be suddenly become their problem. So they declined to renew the lease and told us we had to move out. So that took up a little bit of time. And about the same time, me and one of my other roommates, went to see the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. If you don't watch Game of Grumps, you're not going to get that reference, but go watch them. And that tour, we went on tour for about 2 weeks. It was all a fun time. Everyone lost their smell and everything. I have my own opinions on that, but I won't share those here. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get on to the next bit of this video. Just want to let y'all know what's going on. This video was supposed to come out months ago. It's just everything started collapsing around us all at the same time. But I told Rybonator to get this done this week because he's finally got a spot to get his part of it done. So we're just going to try to get this done this week. And the only thing I really need to do is polish and paint, which we'll move into after this little segment. I just need to set up my phone and then switch the camera and everything. But yeah, I just want to let y'all know what's going on. And if the video seems kind of out of sync or there's parts missing, it's because I actually just don't know where we stopped. I don't know. I assume that I recorded the part where I threw it in the pressure pot, though I may have just glossed over that because it was just throwing them in a pressure pot. I think I should have maybe one of them. I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and get back into polishing these and go over kind of my final thoughts on this little project. Yeah. Well, apparently my phone stopped recording for some reason. I said a whole thing where I just filled in a hole on this with UV resin. How dare you? Yeah, I'm recording on a phone right now. If it's going to continue to do stuff like that, I actually may need to invest in a camera. Well, it's not going to cut off on me. I have no idea where that cut off at, so this may be where I'm just starting to polish things. Ugh. Slightly annoying. But if it is, basically, I'm going through with my grits, my 220, and then my Zona papers to kind of clean up these dice and then get them polished. I use the 220 to get rid of the sprue mark and any little overhangs that I don't particularly care for. Maybe a little bit of clipping that can get rid of it pretty well. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and go through the rest of these. Because I'll show that UV thing again because I have one here. So in the dice, you see that there is a bit of a divot there that actually goes a little bit below the face of the dice. I could polish that down, but there's a chance I would lose the one. So what I do instead is take some UV resin. Normally I'll have clear UV resin for my 3D printer, but I'm currently out of that, so we'll just kind of use my old-fashioned stuff. Just a bit of this. That's really good for patchwork for dice. Now, I don't know if the ambient light of the lamp there is going to cause a problem. I was going to make sure I'm still recording, but I don't think it will. We'll go ahead and get that cured. Should take more than a minute. Okay. Back to polishing. What do you see? Now, hole's gone. Hole and the sprue are both gone. Polished and cleaned up now, and figured since we're doing a Rybonator collaboration, we would use some Citadel Auric Armor Gold to paint these. Now, I paint a little bit different than Rybonator does. Instead of doing just kind of push and pull method of putting paint in and just wiping it off, I like to use a spray gun. Gonna try to use my airbrush, but it didn't really seem to want to work. So, finger painting. Take and just make sure you push resin into every little crack, or not resin, but paint into every little crack. Finger painting method. That's a way of painting these. not my preferred method, but I prefer to use my air gun, but it does not seem to want to cooperate. I don't know. I'm going to probably invest in getting a better quality one, or seeing if I can find any like paints that are actually made for airbrushing, not just like acrylic that's a little bit watered down with water, because I can never really get the ratios on those right. These are the 5 dice that we made using these kind of Minecraft inspired pigments. So I've got our charcoal black, and I'm actually going to readjust my light. Oh, yeah. So we've got our charcoal black. So this one, I really like the effect that it did, but it'd be difficult to get it to actually work. So this is the crushed lapis. You see little bits of floating gray. What I really like is this side. It actually looks like a very stone marbled lapis look. If I could manage to get that on throughout the entire piece, I think that would look very, very good, but I would need a lot of dice, or a lot of material to do it. But yeah, came up looking interesting. It might be a little bit weighted because that is stone, but I don't know because it's pulverizing powder. I don't know, it doesn't seem like it is. So this one, so this is the rose. I think, hold on, yeah, actually, yeah. Bloop. So this is the rose, and one of the things that kind of disappoints me is these all kind of, like, one of our pigments was red and everything kind of came down to some very dark blue to black or brown color. This one, if I can adjust my light, you might actually be able to see kind of, yeah, you can see the bits of flower inside of it. Very interesting. So from the best that I can surmise from what I was able to find, roses stain purple because chlorophyll is green. And even though it has a red appearance, under that red appearance is just chlorophyll cells. I think it's chlorophyll, whatever. The cells are green, and when you mix those two colors, it gets to this really dark blue consistency, or kind of purplish. So that was interesting. I don't know. Oh, also, those pigments didn't hold up at all. The rose pigment, after like 2 or 3 days, started growing mold. The coca did the same thing after like a week and a half. Charcoal was fine. I actually still have the charcoal, but charcoal's charcoal. It's burned everything out. The dice will be fine because they're cured in resin, but the pigment itself it did not hold. So the next one, and to be better my light this way, is the coca. Now the coca has a very interesting, if you can see it there, almost floating earth texture. And I really like how that came out. Obviously it didn't dye it throughout, but again, a lot of that comes down to I don't have the machinery needed to pulverize this into dust. And then last was the one that we kind of added on at the end. This is the pigment from, or like the pigment that was floating in the water from the crushed lapis. So it was a very like blue-gray pigment. I actually like how this color came out as well. The next two, first one this is actual crushed lapis or aquamarine blue pigment. So this is what it looks like if you or get an industrial grinder and pulverize this down to like 1 micron, you would end up with this color. It's one of those like Lapis is one of those colors that's very painful to look at, or Aquamarine Blue is rather. If you've ever seen a blue that like it hurts your eyes to stare at, you're probably looking at Aquamarine Blue. And then the next one was actually went out and bought some cocoa powder, some Hershey's chocolate cocoa powder, and made a dice using it. And you've seen Rybonator and Peter Brown do this before. But just as comparison, if you did have the equipment, this is the quality you could get, and it's actually a very nice brown. So, if we go back here, the moment you've all been waiting for, readjust my light. Rolling. I like my Achievement Hunter dice. This one's fun. Of these, I think one of my favorites is kind of the charcoal black, because it's such a simple color. Like this charcoal black, so I have, let me find it. I've got a case of dillweed, or as I call it, Stuart Simple's black. This is like supposed to be like a really fine black pigment, but oh, not you. It's gone. No, there it is. The charcoal actually is darker, which was interesting because I thought this was supposed to be like some super industrial grade black or something that's like, oh, this is the blackest black to ever black the black. Or not exactly, but kind of close on that level. But I've made dice with this, and charcoal actually comes out darker. So if you want like just the blackest black you can get, go burn a stick. So with all that, this was a pretty fun project. Had a lot of fun making these. Now, this was supposed to be a very Minecraft inspired, like taking pigments from Minecraft to see if they actually work as dyes, and to some level they do, but not to the level that you would want. And one of the flowers I was going to try was poppy. Like, so me and Rybonator, we split the colors up into, like, I took half and he took half. When I was doing some research, one of the ones that I got, which was Blue Orchid, I think I said at the beginning of the video, blue orchids aren't real. Orchid is a white flower. The way you dye it blue, or the way that you get blue orchid, is to dye its water blue. So that's not a real flower. Essentially, we would be testing, does blue dye make blue dye? And, you know, I'm guessing with the chlorophyll in the orchid, though, it would, I mean, it would mix blue and green. It's come out with probably a very dark brown color, or something on that level. So no, blue orchid's not a real thing. So there's no point in trying to test that. Poppies I couldn't find anywhere. I was going to do roses versus poppies and see if maybe there was a reason why in Minecraft we switch from roses to poppies, other than the fact that roses don't grow on the ground like that. Roses grow on bushes. So I assume that's why we changed in Minecraft from roses to poppies, but there's still the rose bush, but when you grab stuff from it, you grab poppies, which I don't know. Doesn't make sense, whatever. It's just a simple coding thing, but whatever. I couldn't find anyone that carries poppies anywhere near me. I couldn't find any online that wouldn't have been here in like 3 months, which in retrospect, given everything that happened, would have lined up perfectly with the video. Same thing with tulips, orange tulips. They were out of season when I went to originally buy them, but at this point, I just went out last week and bought some orange tulip seeds, because by the time the video came out, tulips are coming back into season, I think, or at least Lowe's is carrying their seeds. So I just bought some tulip seeds, some orange tulip seeds, and I'm trying to grow them, see if I can. If I can get those to grow, I'll actually do a follow-up video trying to see what we can do with orange tulip. I mean, I assume the chlorophyll is probably going to be a factor there, but I might do some research to see if there's a way to just extract that orange dye from tulips. I don't know if there is, but it's got to come from somewhere. I guess it would probably in dye, I would assume. So I would assume the way you would get orange is from these. Red iron oxide and yellow iron oxide. So That makes sense to me. I haven't actually tried mixing these, but these are some nice pigments that I got online. Iron oxide, like that's the color that you see in old red brick or like fire buildings. That brick, that's cement mixed with red iron oxide, so it gives it that red glow or red color. So a couple of things on the close of this video. So as one of the things that me and Rybonator decided we were going to do was we were going to challenge each other to another video and give each other a challenge. I don't know what his is for mine yet because I haven't seen his video. He doesn't know what mine is. So let me go ahead and issue this challenge to Rybonator. I would like to see you attempt to cast a new set of dice, molds and all. You have to make the molds, the dice, and everything. But the stipulation is you cannot use rubber or resin as the medium. Okay, so a little bit of a blunder that I noticed while editing. I actually misspoke, so I'm going to reissue the challenge or re-record this part of the challenge. So it's Rybonator. The challenge that I'm issuing you is to make a new set of dice, molds and all, but you cannot use silicon or rubber as the medium for the mold. Not resin. You can use resin. Resin's fine. As long as you don't 3D print the dice, because that's cheating. Yeah, I don't know why I said without using resin, but yeah. I don't know. Back into the video. Now, I have a couple of ideas of how I know I would do it, but I want to see what you come up with. And I'd be interested to see what your challenge for me is. So, this isn't the end of the re-ink and Rybonator collaboration. We still have one more video that we're going to work on. Not necessarily together, but it'll kind of be from each other. So, I'm giving him a challenge. He's giving me one. That is my challenge to you, Rybonator. Make a brand new set of dice, mold and all, without using rubber or silicon as a medium for the mold. Also, you can't cheat and just 3D print the dice and call it done. That's cheating. So there is that. As much as this was fun to do as a kind of a Minecraft project of trying to make these for Minecraft, I'm not 100% happy with how it came out. So I don't think this is going to be the end of what we do that is Minecraft related. I have an idea of another video that's going to be on that same theme that I'll be working on here in a little bit. So keep an eye out for that, because this is not necessarily the end of the Minecraft-based dice that I'll be making. Because while these did come out and they do kind of look pretty cool, not what we kind of expected when we start the video. So I kind of want to redo this in a different format. But I think that's going to be all that we have for you today. This has been a fun project to work on. I look forward to seeing Rybonator's video. And go watch him. I'll have his link down in the description for you. If you did like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out Rybonator because, I mean, he's working on the same project. And he has different pigments that I'm not using. Because like I said, we took that pigment list and we split it in half. But aside from that, thank you all, and y'all have a great day. I'll see you next time. All right, well, so that was a fun bunch of experiments. I think we learned a pretty good amount about how each of these dyes are used, and I don't know about you, but I definitely learned a bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I learned a whole lot.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of new techniques that we can try for different things going into the future.
And hey, isn't real dice pretty fun to roll?
Yeah, a little bit. That they don't float.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
You're working on that? Okay. Hey, y'all heard him. He's working on it. Hold him to it. So I've got one more test that I've been toying around with if you want to try.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got?
So that's a whole thing where I hear a lot of people saying, like, oh, you want to set your pressure pot to 3 bar to cure them. What happens if you go higher?
You mean like 4 or 5 bar?
Yeah. Like, you want to try running a test with 5 bar?
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to know what happens whenever you overpressurize a pressure pot.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to make orange dice this time. Any particular color you want to go for?
Oh, look, I can't even go wrong with gold, so I just want to see if it becomes really dense gold.
Yeah, that, we actually make gold. We could try it with the coal. We get diamond.
Diamond dice, you know what? You speak my language. Grab more sand. Grab more, I mean, resin part A and B.
Yeah. And look here, I've got some coal dye for you.
Oh, I look. Oh, charcoal doesn't make dye on its own, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's make some diamond dice.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and throw that in. All right, and we'll pressurize this.
That sounds different.
It sounds a little bit different. I'm okay.
I'm not.